Hello and welcome to Class 10 Political Science Audio Visual Lecture Series. Second chapter, that is titled as Federalism. In our previous lectures, we have already covered what is federalism and what are the important features of federalism and what are the two roads of federalism, that is holding together and coming together federations. Today we will continue to discuss what make India a federal country. So let us begin with the constitution. India had emerged as independent nation after a painful and bloody partition. Soon after independence, several princely states became a part of the country. The constitution declared India as union of states, although it did not use the word federation. The Indian Union is based on the principles of federalism. If we look back to the 7 features of federalism which we discussed in the previous, we can see that all these features apply to the provision of the Indian Constitution. Then what has made India a federal country? Point number 1, Constitution has declared India as a union of state. 3-tier federalism, that is union, state and panchayat. 3/4 distribution of legislative power under union list, state list, concurrent list. All states in the Indian Union do not have identical power, etc. Exemplary union territories. Changes in power sharing has to be passed by 2/3 majority in the parliament. In case of any dispute regarding division of power, the Supreme Court will take a decision. So the Constitution originally provided for a 2-tier system of government: the union government, what we call the central government, representing the Union of India, and the state government. Later, a third tiles of federalism was added in the form of panchayat and municipalities. As in any federation, this different tile enjoy separate jurisdiction. So the Constitution clearly provided a 3/4 distribution of legislative power between the union government and the state government. So let us see. Thus it contains 3 lists. Number 1, union list. Union lists include 97 subjects, which is mentioned in the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution, such as defense of the country, foreign affairs, banking, communication, currency, etc. They are included in this list because we need a uniform policy on this matter throughout the entire country. The union government alone can make laws relating to the subject mentioned in the union list. The state list contains 59 subjects of state and local importance, such as police, trade and commerce, agriculture and irrigation. The state government alone can make laws relating to the subject mentioned in the state list. The third list, that is concurrent list, contains 47 subjects of common interest to both the union government as well as the state government, such as education, forest, trade union, marriage, adoption, succession, etc. Both the union as well as the state government can make laws on the subject mentioned in this list. But if there is a law made by both come into conflict, the law which is made by the union government will prevail. What about the subject which do not fall in any of these 3 subjects? That subject is called residuary subject. According to our constitution, the union government has the power to make or legislate on this residuary subject. Example like computer software. And how is federalism practiced? Constitutional provisions are necessary for the success of federalism, but these are not sufficient. If the federal experiment has succeeded in India, it is not merely because of the clearly laid out constitutional provision. The real success of federalism in India can be attributed to the nature of democratic politics in our country. This ensured that spirit of federalism, respect for diversity and therefore living together became a shared ideal in our country. Let us look at some of the major ways in which this happened. Number 1, linguistic state. The creation of linguistic state was the first and major test for democratic politics in our country. If we look back at the political map of India when it is created in 1947 and that of 2006, we will find a surprise by the extent of the changes. Many old states have vanished and many new states have been created. Areas, boundaries and names of the state have been changed. In 1947, the boundaries of several old states of India were changed in order to create new state. This was done to ensure that people who spoke the same language live in the same state. Some states were created not on the basis of language but to recognize differences based on culture, ethnicity or geography. This include states like Nagaland, Uttarakhand and Jharkhand. Some national leaders feel that it would lead to the disintegration of the country. The central government resisted linguistic state for some time, but the experience has shown that the formation of linguistic state has actually made the country more united. It has also made administrative more convenient and easier. And number 2 is language policy. A second test for Indian Federation is language policy. Our constitution did not give the status of national language to any one language. Hindi was identified as official language, but Hindi is the mother tongue of only 40% of Indians. Therefore, there were many safeguards to protect other languages. Besides Hindi, there are 22 other languages, major Indian languages recognized in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. A candidate in any examination conducted for the central government position may opt to take the examination in any of these languages or so. According to the Constitution, the use of language, that is English language, for official purpose was to stop in 1965. However, many non-Hindi speaking states demanded that the use of English continue. In Tamil Nadu, this movement took a violent form and the central government responded by agreeing to continue the use of English along with Hindi for official purposes. Then, center-state relation. The third one, restructuring the center-state relation is one more way in which federalism has been strengthened in practice. For a long time, the same party ruled both at the center and in most of the state. This means that the state government did not exercise their right as an autonomous federal unit, as and when the ruling party at the center is different from the state government or the state parties. The party which is ruled at the center tried to undermine the power of the state government. In those days, the central government would often misuse constitution to dismiss the state government that were controlled by rival political parties. This undermined the spirit of federalism. All this changed significantly after 1990. This period saw the rise of regional political parties in major states of the country, many states of the country. This was also the beginning of the era of coalition government at the center. What is coalition government? A government formed by coming together of at least 2 or more political parties, usually partners in coalition, form a political alliance and adopt a common program. Example like UPA, United Progressive Alliance, led by Congress Party, and then NDA, National Democratic Alliance, led by Bharatiya Janata Party. Since no single party got a clear majority in the Lok Sabha, the major political national party had to enter into an alliance with many parties, including several national parties, regional parties, to form a government at the center. This led to the new culture of power sharing and respect for the autonomy of the state government. This trend was supported by major judgments of the Supreme Court that make it difficult for the central government to dismiss the state government in any arbitrary manner. Thus, federal power sharing is more effective today than it was in earlier years after the Constitution came into effect or force. So, let us stop here for our discussion for today.